What's up, YouTube? Going to be changing out the transmission mount on my Mazda B series truck. So I got a medium-sized ratchet, 3/4 socket, large ratchet, 18mm large socket, and then a 3/4 wrench as well with the breaker bar to break them free. So there's going to be 4 bolts in total that we need to take off. So here's one of them. And then here's the next one on the other side. There's going to be a bracket that gets moved out of the way. And then here's the 2 underneath that we'll be getting with the 18mm. So just gonna hit all of the bolts with liquid wrench before I start. Then gonna be using this floor jack to lift up the transmission and hold it in place. Got it positioned right in the middle of the transmission here. Now using a breaker bar and the 18mm, just breaking these bolts free. I'm gonna loosen these up once I get them broken. Now it's time to loosen these up. Got them basically almost completely off, just have them all the way to the end here. So time to jack up the transmission. Gonna slowly lift up this transmission now. And you'll see it's starting to move the mount out of the little holes there. So just being careful while I do this. Want to make sure that it doesn't slip off the jack and that it's positioned right in the middle. Now that I have the transmission lifted up, I can fit a medium-sized ratchet with the 3/4 socket under here. And then I'm using the end of the floor jack to give me some extra leverage to get this loose. And I'm not going to untighten it all the way just so that I can get this ratchet out. And then doing the same thing on the other side. So using the pole to give me some leverage on this guy. And then same thing, just gonna get it loose, and then that way I can get the ratchet out. Now I'm just gonna use this wrench to undo them. Now that I got the top bolts almost out, I'm gonna undo these bottoms completely. Left the top bolt slightly in just to hold it in place as I took the bottom bolts out. Gonna need just a little bit more clearance, so gonna jack up the transmission a little bit more. And I think that should be just enough room, so I'm gonna slide this old transmission mount out. And there we go. So there's the old transmission mount. It was definitely cracking on the sides here and wobbling around. And here's where the transmission mount came out of. So you can see this little bracket here. Just got to make sure you reconnect that when you put the new transmission mount in, but pretty straightforward to get it out. Here's the side-by-side of the new transmission mount that I'm going to be putting in. So after 25 years, definitely a good time to change this out. The rubber right here was cracking really bad, and it was definitely rocking a lot whenever I would shift gears or downshift. It would kind of jolt the truck completely from the transmission. So good thing to get this changed out. And you can see the new one is going to be a huge difference to put this guy in. Before I put the new one in, I'm just going to take a rag here and just clean off all the edges of all the rust that kind of accumulated. Should have enough clearance here since the old one came out. So just going to fit this guy right in here. And there we go. Fits right in. Gonna start with the top screws first and put these guys in for the most part. And then make sure you put this bracket back on it when you put the other bolt in. And there we go. Now I'm gonna screw these bottom bolts all the way up just before I drop the transmission back down onto the beam here. And then I'm gonna tighten these guys down now that the bottom bolts are tight enough so it doesn't move it. And then tightening it just the same way I took it off, getting the extra leverage on there to really make sure that this guy is really torqued down. Use this guy. Not too much, but definitely needs to be nice and tight. And I'm gonna do the same over here. That's feeling pretty good, so I think that should hold up just fine, right? Like that. Okay, gonna drop the transmission deck down. And there we go. Looks like that's completely dropped down, so gonna release the jack completely now and take it out. Now that it's fully rested on this center beam, gonna tighten down these little nuts down here. So first hand tightening them. Got these bottom nuts torqued down pretty good, so should be good to go here. Got those torqued, and then the upper one's torqued, and it's a pretty simple job. Like I said, just make sure you have that bracket in place when you put in the other bolt. But this is gonna make a world of a difference for sure. So drove the truck around, and it's driving a lot better. It used to jolt back and forth whenever I would downshift it or shift between gears, so that transmission mount that was in there was definitely on its way out, especially after about 200,000 miles. So pretty simple to replace. So hopefully this video is helpful. Thanks for watching.